Hey everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cock.
He is Captain Foley.
And today we're here to talk about something I'm excited about. What would I be excited about, Samuel?
Anything TOS, if it's fully TOS and yet new, yet old, yet new, versus Stranger Worlds TOS, which is new, yet old, yet mostly new.
Today we're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, the TOS Dreadnought, but not the TOS Dreadnought, as it turns out. It's a different TOS Dreadnought for some, I was going to say Stranger Worlds. STO, Star Trek Online. So,
and don't just love those guys for doing excellent in all of the eras. It's kind of amazing how they keep ticking boxes. And this is one of their Agents of Yesterday ships. So a while ago now, the TOS pack. We looked at a couple, but there's a few more to look at where they were tasked with adding to the TOS fleet, and of course being canon, being vibe, and yet be new. And HRT is of course their lead genius designed this thing. It's in the game. We're going to look at a few shots and see what we think. Because I've seen it around for obviously a couple of years now, but we've never sat down and talked about it. And it isn't one of those faster, let's just move things around. It's actually a fresh design. So what do you think, staring at it and being forced to talk about it for 10 minutes?
Well, honestly, I think it's a very awesome design. It actually is inspired by a lot of different things, it feels like. It's not as kit-bashy as some of the Franz Joseph designs. I do love 3 nacelles on a ship for a Dreadnought, but this one beefs things up and has a quite impressive look. But you can see some tie-ins as well with like the refit NX with that secondary hull and stuff. So there's a lot of really good inspiration here, and I gotta say thank you to the STO team for coming up with these really cool designs. So
I mean, these are the ships I'd love the fan film community to use, because they're all totally TOS yet totally new shapes and silhouettes. But like you say, very NX refitty from the bottom, very classic TOS from the top. It's hard to extend the scale of a ship and what do you do with the detail or lack thereof? And their approach was don't add any detail. Just give it that kind of flat plate approach. But suddenly it has that extra scale, bulk, and simplicity which remains. It's not filled with weapons. It's not filled with greeblies. It's not it feels like a logical 60s. They could build that. Well, definitely could build this. But we don't. It's a Dreadnought. It's a warship. We're not going to add windows everywhere, and the tech is internal because that's what TOS is. So you wouldn't just add stuff for stuff's sake. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. And it's interesting because looking at this picture, it seems like the saucer was flipped upside down because the way it kind of angles up instead of down on the edge of the saucer. It's got a unique look that way. I also love their Bizarre variant that are more like shielded, but I prefer it without that. Like I like the way it's actually looking in the middle there.
Yeah, this is such a clever. It does feel like a double nacelle, while possibly just being one nacelle. But what a logical. Let's have more power. How do you do that? 4 nacelles. Oh, maybe. Or what? Let's stick on top of each other and put them in a housing. Can we do it? We should try. And it creates such a unique yet faithful thing, and obviously links to Phase 2 and the refit era. How are we pushing tech further? Here is a very valid version that actually, seeing the double Bassards, really works.
Well, it's interesting too because over the years there have been other Dreadnought variants for TOS. There's one called the Mars class, which also has 4 nacelles. A little bit of a different arrangement, but I think they kind of use that as inspiration as well to have the 4 nacelle thing instead of 3, because a lot of people get all uppity about the odd-numbered nacelles.
The scale and the bulk comes from the top, but the lower part is so small and minimal, as if we're saying we don't need it. Like we need it in the barest bones sense, but what tech, what stuff we need is in the saucer. It's an interesting vibe. You'd think they would make the second hull big and beefy, and they made it smaller, and the cutouts, like I said, more refitted. It's an odd choice, but it kind of the different styles flow together well in this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good amalgamation of things. So
this is how it looked in game, at least one of the angles. Concept to final.
Love it. I love it. I love the different take on it. Like I said, the rim of that saucer, the way it's kind of different than the Connie, but yet still the same. And that center part, the way that that's built up as well, is very unique and very nice. Lots of windows.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked by the window scale. It feels like the windows are smaller than the concept. And, well, I mean, you can see 3 decks in the saucer, because while there isn't a single portion of the saucer with 3 full lines, you can see there's a structure for 3. That tells the scale right away. And obviously, the saucer, yes, the curve might be the same as the Connie, but now there should be so much bigger that the curve feels different when you have the bulk of decks. Oh, very logical. But it's so big feeling now. I'm kind of amazed.
Weird choice to do the banner the way they did on the nacelles. I would have had it on the top nacelle, like the regular banner stripe all the way, and then have like a thinner one on the bottom. That seems like an odd choice, but at the same time, it's unique and it's new, and it kind of looks interesting.
But you would blink and you'd miss it. It's very small proportionally. And I love how the nacelles are just the normal nacelles, dum and dum, but then they don't feel it, but they are. Great.
And interesting, it's got like a little bit of what's called like the rust ring on the TOS Enterprise, but this is on the back part, or the side parts, I mean, as opposed to being around the front. Because you see a lot of Connies that have that rust ring detail, and that's here, but it's just not where it would be on a Connie. Again, changing things up a bit.
But it makes the registry stand out even more on that zone. And it looks like a second rust ring below the bridge as well. No, it's really cool. Next view, though, is a very bright shot, but one for the bottom. Oh, look, there's a cowling around the deflector area. So it does kind of feel like a hybrid, the NX refit shape with the front/side details, and then it's interesting hybrid. Interesting.
Well, I dare say that original concept we looked at, the secondary hull, was much more kind of cut and paste from the NX refit. This one has been refined somewhat to be different, yet similar. But yeah, I kind of like the extra bit, the detailing around the deflector there.
Doesn't necessarily feel functional, but it gives it depth. And you kind of want that bulkiness for TOS a little bit. So that giant deflector, white chunk behind that. The fact that it's so big and chunky actually adds to the rustic vibe.
And one thing I really do like too is the widening of the neck. That's always been kind of an issue with the TOS Connie as far as how wide the neck actually is and what could fit in there functionally. This beefs that out, and then even more so at the back of the saucer has, like, on the top and the bottom, has the more extended parts. A lot more interior volume for sure.
Although something about the fact there's windows at the front of the neck bugs me. Like, I don't need a torpedo launcher there, but something about that kind of bugs me. Now, we know this isn't a hero model, this isn't a show model, this isn't even a high poly model. So where are the weapons? Well, wherever the hit points are for the game, right? So there are no visible weapon ports I can see. We know exactly where they'd be, and you can't see any. But it's a game. They exist somewhere.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I don't mind the windows on the front of the neck like that. I think those would be like nice, like kind of 10 forward type of deal. It's like a bar or a lounge. You get the shot of like the oncoming stars or whatever.
And just a large saucer just hanging above you.
Yeah, it would.
Removing all of your top vision.
That's true. But the ones at the side there,
unless the lower planetary touchstone becomes a disco ball.
Yes, exactly.
And then it's
fine. But the bulky part beside that, with the 5 windows there, it'd be cool if those incorporated torpedo launchers or something.
Oh yeah. You have to place that carefully though, because they will absolutely shoot the bottom of the saucer. And clearing, I have had the problem with clearing many a time, because the shapes look weird if you have to clear too much, but you have to clear because, weapons fire.
Yeah, you'd have to do some tweaking and stuff, but I think if I was redesigning this, I'd kind of incorporate something like that, I think
I'd probably... Gosh, would I add them either side of the deflector? Yes, maybe. Feels like there's a space that would be there.
Yeah. Yeah, with the more bulky, wider secondary hull, you could definitely do something.
Add little dual pods there. But no, it looks really good. I'm really a fan of this. The next view is the back. Crazy back of the nacelles with just a big giant bulk. It shockingly works. I'm shocked by how good that looks.
Yeah, it's got the same kind of end caps, like the top cowling of the TOS Enterprise, but And then like this, you can see like the balls there, and then they just extended it down to kind of.
The logic's there, but it's new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even the vents, the cooling vents on the bottom is a nice touch.
I love there's an iterative step from the front cowling that's more square, then going back still keeps it as one piece versus two, and then it goes into two. So it's not just the whole thing's two. Oh, it's a nice progression.
Mm-hmm. And I love the placement of the impulse engines, like very center of the ship, as opposed to spread out a little bit. It's very much in line with the TOS, where they're like right at the back of the saucer.
Yeah, they feel meaty, really, and obviously the scale of the ship, they're big. Although my brain, it's not like I necessarily dislike it, but my brain says the fact that there's a lack of anything below the impulse on that sort of below the shelf, that hole, there's nothing, and you couldn't even really put anything there. So it just feels like even though the TOS colony is simple, there's not really an area where there's nothing. Everything's kind of structured just about there's something everywhere. Either a plate line with a mathematically perfect this many pixels between. If there's nothing there, kind of bugs me a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Just
yeah. And here from the back too, you can definitely get a sense that it's basically the secondary hull of a Connie, but like stretched out. It's much more bulky.
Yeah, it's more Connie than I thought it was going to be from the front vibe. But obviously rebuilding the basic shape, and I don't think they'd take a model and extend it. They would rebuild it with the extension in mind. But it's not a difficult shape. But they kept so much of it that it still feels very faithful and yet new, which is, I mean, the quality that you expect from Stowe, just new yet old, yet original, yet you understand the logic. I mean, it's yeah.
One of the details I like, which I did not expect to see, is little antenna, I guess, that's on top of the shuttle dome. Like, that's a nice little touch that kind of says 1960s design inspired,
Yeah, and that's been in multiple of the Stowe ships. It's like it's on we call it Harrison, but it's another ship that we use for one of the fan films. It's like a fleet control antenna, I think is the logic.
Yeah, well, the original Federation class had that rear-facing sensor dish, which a lot of people are like, why does it need a deflector on the back? Well, in TOS, they were originally sensor dishes. They weren't deflector dishes. They kind of got retconned to be deflector dishes after the motion picture. So, and it was for real-time communication because it was like a fleet command ship. So it had like the big sensor and communications array on the back of the ship. So, yeah.
Tech, it's useful. And then back to obviously the concept art. It is a little different. It's not very different. But it's amazing how the it's there, but adding the colours and the texturing, adding the small things and the fully scaled, because the window scale is what really is different here that changes it. Very faithful yet nice, different.
Well, let's be honest. This one looks more like it came like 20 years after the NX refit, like almost a precursor to the one we just looked at that's in game. It seems like a little bit older, smaller design. They just used the exact same design structure and beefed it up. But with that color palette and that secondary hull being almost exactly like the refit NX, that's the kind of vibe that I got from it. So.
Yeah, even the shuttle bay being, now you can see the back sketch, it is a different shuttle bay. Very subtly different, but it's not that classic clamshell. The other one is just a verbatim copy, so these things do iteratively change the feel. Yeah, this would be interesting if you tweak 5 or 6 more things to make it more NX. Wouldn't take much. Would be very, very. Yeah, because also there's no chiller grills at the back of the nacelles. That obviously affects the vibe. So many small things. Wow, yeah. Both very valid though. Both very, very valid.
Mm-hmm. It's a very cool design. So, anyway, guys, let us know what you thought about this design. Do you love Dreadnoughts? If so, tell us why in the comments section. Or, do you have the ship in game? What's your ship called? We want to hear. So comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button as a big like for Dreadnoughts, or even just us talking about them. We appreciate it. And don't forget to click the bell notification icon to all, because we do a lot of content here.
And if you want to support what we do here on the channel, you can support us monthly via Patreon. It's the monthly way you can donate any amount per month and get perks that are listed, or join the channel on YouTube, same deal, but on YouTube if you want to stay in this ecosystem, or super chatting on live, super thanks on a video, or buy a shirt down below, or PayPal, Trekyards@hotmail.com, all the different ways. And we thank you for every and all of them.
That's right. So, until next time, Thank you for watching. He is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
We'll see you later,
Bye,
guys.
guys.